yeah, it's what the system wants. Yeah, it's...
Not what the ex-con wants. I want to correct that.
No, I know.
Definitely the system that wants
It's
that.
the system. Yeah, and there's no, and there's no incentive for them to change. There's no incentive, although I'm hoping here in Connecticut we have an incentive, saving money, okay? I mean, we're hoping that the governor listens to closing some of the prisons and things like that. I mean, we're gonna do, but there has to be a reentry situation. I mean, you just can't, I mean, you just drop you in the street, okay? It's an unbelievable thing to just say, here you are, isolation, one day, and the next day, here's a bus ticket and head to Boston with $30.
And look, they want you to come back. It's what it is. There's no debate in that fact right there. And the local politicians say, when I was upstate New York, those are all, every single one of us who are incarcerated are counted as constituents for that politician. That goes into their war chest directly. And so when people tell me prisons are going to be closed down, it kind of makes me think, well, what incentive is the politician getting for closing this prison down, aside from the popularity vote?
What would have helped you? What would help you?
What would have helped me?
Yeah. Okay, here you are. What do you think would have helped you coming back?
Well, me personally,
Yeah.
this is a personal thing.
This is personal.
This isn't something that would help everyone in general. A week prior to my release, I have an 11-year-old daughter. They took her away permanently, and if I had that incentive, my little girl, to see or something, if I had family, if I had something to hold on to. Yes, I have, grandparents and stuff like that, but I can't, they're elderly, I can't lean on them. I'm a man, I'm supposed to stand on my own 2 feet, and, if I had the incentive to take care of my child or something, if it wasn't taken away from me from 2 different court systems, it would have gave me more to shoot for and not end up in the feds 4 months later. And then if they gave me some type of job training or someplace to go, even a job, something lined up, a halfway house, I don't care if it's a tenement house, someplace to live, because no place to live is, I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially for someone who's just coming out of prison and not used to bills or anything like that, and it's just, the acclimation is incredible.
Shelter?
Yeah, just to find shelter is difficult. I mean, the things you have to do to even find a place to sleep for the night are reprehensible. And without going into too much detail, but you do what you have to do to survive. And here I am 3 years later, and I'm a better man because of it. And I honestly feel that I could be a positive, contribution to any company, any individual, who could, use my set of skills, but no one's willing to give you that chance, so it's difficult, to say the least.
Well, it is, well, I'm the reason I'm asking is because in reentry is one of the things we're really, is my concern, okay? As you know, we've developed shelters and did that kind of stuff, but I never felt shelters were a very temporary thing. Jobs are essential. I mean, if you don't have a job, well, how do you earn?
Yeah, I have a good example of a program that did work, and they're doing this at the Department of Youth Services, which is basically juvenile hall in Massachusetts.
Right.
They started a program specifically for me because I was homeless as a youth, and I was 16 years old. They opened this program. You were incarcerated all day long, except to go to work, and you were allowed to open up a bank account, get your IDs, your social security cards, everything you need, all your information you need to be a person. Take a look at your credit report, do it. At that time I was too young, but this is the things that people need to be able to get on their feet. They need to understand the importance of credit, things like that. Me, I educated myself and took the time to do that. I'm trilingual. I went through a lot of effort to make myself the man I am today. And if they presented the same options that they do on a small level to teenagers, why can't they do that for a grown man who really needs it, who is really honestly capable of doing a lot more damage to the community? And that's what people are scared of. People are scared of what we're capable of after we walk out of prison. And I'm not going to say that we're all angels, because we're not. There's a lot of bad men that walk out of prison. And I'm not saying that all of them shouldn't be there, but I mean, the punishment isn't always equal to crime, as we well know. When guys are in there for an occupational hazard and they come out, they need to be given some other type of occupation to take this place, and that energy and that zeal, that zest you have for what you do needs to be channeled into something different. And I feel that when I was given that opportunity as a child at a different program, that it worked. And as a result, I had an apartment within a few months. I was a manager at a small retail establishment. I'm not going to say, you know, it was a nationwide chain, but, you know, relatively small, you know, in comparison to a larger chain. But, you know, and as a result, I learned cash handling skills, managerial skills, and how to set up, you know, schedules and schedule people and whatnot, maintain an inventory, and all from the confines of a youth detention center. Yeah, I did 80 hours worth of work a week, working at 2 different stores, but I enjoyed it. I made minimum wage. I don't care. It was something, and I was good at it. And I'm not allotted that now. So if I just had that opportunity again, if they could give something to guys to make them change and see a different way of living, it would have to be something similar to that, the program they're offering out in Worcester, Massachusetts right now. And it's a successful program, and it's still up today. And I think that's a good model for what needs to be done out there today as far as rehabilitation, re-entry goes. Because just tossing a guy on the street doesn't work. It's proven. There's a 99.9% recidivism rate out of DDU for a reason. People walk out of there with various different mental illnesses. Every person does. Everybody has a fundamental change in them once they've done time there. Nobody comes out the same as they went in. You know, and like I briefly touched on the 25-hour cycle earlier, and basically it is, without getting too lengthy into it, it's something that POW, you know, POW victims suffer from.
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, it's post-traumatic stress, and you know, you go into 25-hour cycles as far as sleep goes, and there's all types of adverse psychological reactions, paranoid schizophrenia, and then as a result, you walk out of prison with things you didn't have in the first place, and the mental health problems aren't being addressed. They walk by your cell, they look at you, they say, this man is okay, he's not hanging, all right, so then let's just keep it moving. And they write down, you know, cognizant ×3, aware, whatnot, you know the whole lingo they put in, you know, the psychology reports. And you look at every single one of them, and I said, no, that's not what I was doing that day right there. Or I'll look at a medical report, and they'll say, oh, this guy has nothing wrong with him. I got two orbital fractures and a broken nose and 2 black eyes. What do you mean there's nothing wrong with me? You know, I've been naked up in the HSU for 3 weeks now because you guys won't let Mass Correctional Legal Services come take pictures of me, you know, with nothing, you know, windows, the toilet's frozen because there's no windows, you know, I mean, like, that's not humane. Anybody who goes through that right there is going to have an indelible change in their personality, and it's going to come with them, and it's going to carry with them throughout their life. You think after 3 years I'm going to be reacclimated? I did 8.5 just as an adult. I think I need at least 8.5 years to get my mind right. Never mind, it could be the rest of my life. I mean, because that's not some people who go to war, and I'm not comparing myself to a patriot who's gone to war or anything like that, because I'm not. I didn't put my life on the line for this country right here. I am what I am. I understand that, but I paid my penance. That's what the whole term penitentiary comes from, for paying your penance. And I paid my penance, and it's a life bid. Every day I get pulled over. I get pulled over regularly, twice a month. I'm out of the car. They search my car. I've been slapped around multiple times. I've had to pay thousands of dollars for attorney fees that I don't have, to have my license taken away for no apparent reason, and have nothing to say about it. You know, and it's just simply due to the fact of my criminal record, and it's inescapable.
So I would say clearly that you would say, as the National Religious Campaign Against Torture says, that you were tortured.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, I could give you incidences that aren't appropriate for television, and I'm going to refrain from doing so, and gladly, because I don't like to rehash them and relive them every day.
I know it.
You know, and it's people think this is war stories and stuff. This isn't war story time. This is me trying to get a message, to convey a message to somebody, to you, to your viewers. There's a lot more going on in meets the eye. People see things going on overseas, torture and stuff, and they say, that's incredible. That's going on right here in America every day to American citizens, and they don't want to acknowledge that fact. And whether it's, naivete, or whether it's, the fact that they want to be patriots, or whatever the case is, they don't believe that government's capable or something like that, or they just have the blinders on.
Or they believe you deserve it because they're punishment.
Yeah, well, look, you walk in the federal courthouse in Boston, there's the legal maxim, culpe poena paesto in Latin, let the punishment equal the crime. And it's far from that. If you're beating a man, holding him down, 4-point restraining him, having a 6'3" man, 250 pounds, beating you relentlessly where you're handcuffed and shackled to a concrete slab, how is that letting the punishment equal the crime? That's not part of the punishment. In Australia, they have a really good policy. They say your sentence is your punishment, not what happens to you in prison isn't part of your punishment. And this is from one of the maximum security prisons in Australia, and it was done by National Geographic, I believe, and it was a well-known thing. And they
documented.
Yeah, you saw, and you might have seen the documentary. I'm not sure, but it was documented, and they have the right idea. Don't deprive people of their fundamental human rights to practice religion. People have to fight for that out here. All the lawsuits that went on for people to practice their own religions or get their meals at a certain time of day, during Ramadan. I believe it's in October. The only reason I know it's in October is because we suffered beatings because of Ramadan, because they weren't feeding. They weren't giving their food at the correct time. Something happened to a correctional officer as a result because he was messing with someone's food, and we all served for it, and we served dearly for it. And I have no problem doing that for a cause, but that wasn't a cause. That was just them taking out their frustrations on anybody who was there and leaving you 4-point restraint. They're supposed to have cameras on you at all times. There's supposed to be a nurse to come in and check your restraints every 15 minutes. If there's 112 guys down in DDU, and supposedly these are the worst of the worst, as Boston Globe and the Herald has quoted us, why? How are you gonna watch these 112 guys every 15 minutes with one nurse go around from cell to cell and check their restraints? What if a guy passes out, has a heart attack? What are you gonna do? And it just happened recently in the North Andover State Police Barracks. Someone died. The police beat him to death. No repercussions whatsoever. In fact, the same police came and harassed me over a month later, approximately a month later. It's sad to say it goes on, and it just needs to be more publicity to open people's eyes. And a lot of people look at it as conspiracy, or me being jilted by the system, and I feel treated unfairly. But
well, I wanted I wanted to make sure that you expressed what was going on to the audience, because our audiences need to know. Okay, and we've done a lot of stuff to show. We've done films, we've done education, and the reason is, from my perspective, from an organizational perspective, is this is a public safety issue, and the community needs to understand that. This isn't about a vicious desire to take corrections and and ostracize them, that has nothing to do with what our show is about. Our show is about trying to show the public what is going on to the people who are coming back, and because of what's going on, we see what the community is suffering with. We'll see that good people like yourself made mistakes. You made mistakes. I made mistakes. Bobby made. We made mistakes. Now you want to straighten out. The system isn't giving you a chance to straighten out. What are you going to do? You're going to do some stupid, horrific crime because or you're going to do a crime that leads to something horrific because you have no other choice. You're going to survive. You're going to eat. You want shelter like everybody else. So our question always is, how do you want us back? Do I want you coming back to the community, dropped in the middle of the street, after you've been beaten and everything else, with no job, no place to go? You're gonna steal your clothes from somebody else, for Christ's sake. You're gonna go and find the first piece of pipe you can and beat somebody's brains in.
I don't mean to laugh, it's not funny.
It isn't, no, it isn't, but you know, but that's the truth.
It is the truth.
What else are you gonna do?
It is the truth.
You know, you're gonna find somebody weaker to take from until you get, and that's the reality of what's happening in our community, and they're killing us.
And in addition, a lot of these crimes that people are going out and committing afterwards, they weren't capable of committing these crimes prior to going to prison.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I walked into Walpole at 19 years old, and I didn't have many options at 19 years old in Walpole. This isn't, Camp Cupcake with Martha Stewart. This is Walpole, okay?
That's right.
And I walked in there at 19 years old, and I did what I had to do, and that landed me down in VDU, but I can still look at myself in the mirror and go, and be happy with who I am. And, but a lot of guys can't. There's a lot of 19-year-old kids who walk in there, and they're irreversibly damaged, to the point that they're not functional at any level.
No, you have to make a choice.
Yeah, they get leaned on. Bad things happen to them.
You make a choice. You go in there, and that's one of the things that most people don't understand. We don't talk about it a lot. You get a choice. It's either walking through the prison your way, or being abused by somebody else and walking through their way.
I refuse to be abused by anybody.
And whatever it takes, okay? And when you say that, people go, well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah. Okay? It's what Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. I got to walk through as a man, whatever it takes, okay? Because obviously there's people bigger, stronger, and everything else than you are, and if they want to abuse you, where are you going to go? There's no place to run, no place to hide. People do not understand the forces within the system and what it does. And then you got to deal with your own, the differentials in the prison population, okay, you're dealing with, and then you got to deal with the guards, which are the same thing in the differential in the guard population, because some of them are seriously nutsos and abusive and everything else. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, well, they choose that occupation for a reason, some of them. Not all of them
Not
are
all
bad
of
men.
them.
Not all of them are bad men.
No,
I admit that, and I do admit that the corrections, if you want to call it corrections, I do believe that incarceration is a necessary thing. I'm not saying it's not by any means at all. I'm saying that America puts more people in prison for a longer amount of time than any other country in the world.
Any other country in the world.
And why is that? When it's been a proven fact that 3 years is the amount of time it takes for somebody to turn themselves around. And that's been a study that's been done by the feds, and that's why they always choose 3 years probation to give someone in federal probation, so they can turn themselves around. Because that's been a study proving that 3 years is the amount of time.
My associate years ago said he differed from that. He said it's 4. He founded Delancey Street in San Francisco, California. John Maha, he was from New York. He founded Delancey Street. Delancey Street is one of the most successful rehabilitation programs in the country. John has passed away now. But his thing was exactly what you said. Get the person a job, get them in, if you need a place to stay. And people stayed with them, And it was a mandatory, I believe it was a mandatory 2 years, but the extension was, the average person was 4 years, and then help you get in business school and everything else like that. And John, this is like 40 years ago, for, what, 71,
That's quite.
knew then, because he happened to be, drugs was his problem, and he was a spin-off, but he founded that organization, and fundamentally, he always said, it's 4 years, it takes you at least 4 years to get your feet back on the ground. He wasn't saying you're finished. I've been out for years. I'm not finished. I'm still nuts as ever, and I'm working on it all the time.
The reacclimation process is an ongoing thing. It may be a lifelong thing. I haven't been lived my entire life yet.
Well, I obviously, we know that however long it took you to initially get in there, and then the time you did, it'll probably take you that long to get out.
Well, I've been on probation or some form of incarceration or in the system since I was 12 years old. So was that 17 years?
So you got a long way to go.
I got a long way to go.
And we want you to make it in that long way to go. We want you to be able to get through that and be successful. It's it's a very difficult thing, and we know it. You express yourself really well on the show, and you restrained yourself, which is
Difficult to say the least.
Well, I know it's difficult, and I hope that my audience understands how difficult that is, and the anger that comes up because you want to do the right thing and you want to survive right, and the difficulty and the obstacles that are placed before you, and at one time before I say us, they are very difficult to surmount. It's the reality. I'm happy that you connected with obviously one of my favorite associates, with Bobby. It's amazing that he apparently knows how to help people and how to get them out. And he always says, what do you want me to do? He told the legislature his favorite thing was, I can break into safes, he can open locks, he can rob armored cars, he knows how to do that. We have similar backgrounds. And he said, I can do all these things. Or, he's got his degree is sociology, psychology. He's a paralegal. He's an extensive background. He's from a juvenile. He's same thing. He went in about the same age as you do. He says, I can help you kids, and I can straighten you kids out. What do you want me to do? And that's what, you've got the gift. I can tell that you obviously outlined a program for me of reentry, that fits exactly what we feel has to happen, that you have to connect with an individual, maybe some kind of halfway house. You have, prior to people being released, need to be reintegrated into the community, need to get the job, need to learn how to dress. You know how to dress.
Yeah. And it's not just a 90-day program either, where they just dump you in there and move you out to the street, because that doesn't work.
No.
Because you don't got the time. You don't even have the time to get a Social Security card and a driver's license by then. Never mind, bank accounts and everything, and build up, credit and whatnot, things to get apartments, and it's a very difficult task to get your life together, especially when you come from having nothing, not even so much as an ID, to trying to be a whole person again and walk around all these people out in society who have their lives together, or at least seemingly so, and you feel out of place, and I still feel out of place today. And,
you're going to feel you feel out of place. I'm still out of place. I'm still out of place. My bouncing around, even my ministerial stuff was out of place. I felt out of place. I went from denomination to denomination, primarily because of the ex-offender status, you know, and I was very lucky in my mentorship of where my spiritual stuff went to, but it was always out of place. You're always out of place wherever you are. You're the convict. No matter what, you're the ex-convict. And then you really don't, you have an inability, as I did, I think we all do, had an inability to relate to straight people. We've had a different role, much like soldiers in foxholes. Same thing. I mean, once you've been out there and you've done years of that kind of stuff, you don't relate to the common man. Okay, you just don't do it. Your orientation is different.
Of course not. I went from being handcuffed and shackled just to get taken to the shower to walking around on the street next to. I feel like a wolf walking around sheep. Although I'm a very well restrained wolf, I still feel that way.
Don't you?
Know?
I know it. I know it.
I feel out of place, and I feel like these people don't really even. I feel like that I don't even deserve to be there. Like, you know, because what I'm capable of, but I would never do again. It's just. It's a horrible feeling.
Well, you live with that, and it's something that you end up having to live with.
Yeah, it's
the circumstances, you know, are such that.
It's my cross to bear.
Yeah, that's where it is. Well, you know, I'm going to tell you, I'm really pleased. I know I'm almost out of time. That you're here. I hope to get you back.
I appreciate you having me, and I would love to come back.
And I thank you for sharing this with my audience and sharing your thing. And I hope that job, you're looking for a job, okay? You're skilled in computer, you know, anybody, you never know. We have friends out there. Your skills are networking and everything, right?
A+, CompTIA, Network Plus. I have managerial skills, cash handling skills, CSR, customer service skills. I mean, the list goes on. I'm trilingual. I speak Spanish, Italian, obviously English. It just and have all those marketable skills plus some. I could write out a serious resume, but I'd be fudging it partly because where's the job history, you know?
Well, we never know. We have friends that hopefully will find their way to you that understand that bad guys can be good guys.
You know?
Bill Gates even knows that. Bless you, Michael.
Thank you
thank you for showing up, and thank you for being so straightforward with my audience. And I want to say to my audience, God bless you. We'll see you next week, and thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to say good night.